Top 5 fascinating graveyards you must see before death. Number 5, the Old Jewish Cemetery. Easily the oldest cemetery on the list, with the earliest discernible headstone dating back to 1439. The Old Jewish Cemetery operated until 1787, which means it's closed before most of the entries on this list had opened. The headstones bear this out, jumbled at strange angles and deeply weather-worn ropes dividing the walkway from the headstones, and tickets can be bought to see the cemetery individually or in addition to visiting the surrounding synagogues. Interestingly, while many Jewish cemeteries were destroyed during the Holocaust, Hitler specifically requested that this one remains intact, as he apparently intended to build a museum here after his assumed victory. Number 4, Mary Cemetery. A strangely joyous cemetery, Mary Cemetery contains hundreds of wooden makers brightly painted with scenes from their lives of the deceased, as well as poems about their lives. There is little or no weather proving on the makers, so that the paint fades with the memories of the deadlier part departed. You can find many pictures of the makers here with translation of some inscription. Number 3, Protestant Cemetery. Also known as the Englishman's Cemetery and Non-Catholic Cemetery, the latter moniker applies the better. This was the place to bury those who died in and around Rome but who were not Catholic. The most recognizable feature of this cemetery is probably the Pyramid of Setios, a small-scale Egyptian-style building around 18 to 12 BC. This is the tomb of Gaius Setios Epulo, making it the oldest tomb in the said cemetery by over a century and a half. It was incorporated into the city for fortification known as the Oriel Walls, which were in turn later used as a partial border to the cemetery. Number 2, Cemetery du Père Lachaise, located in the east of Paris. It has become arguably the most famous cemetery in the world, boasting hundreds of thousands of visitors a year. It was not always this popular though. When it was first opened in 1804, no one wanted to bury or be buried here because it had no history. In a campaign to promote the cemetery, famous bodies were actually moved from Père Lachaise, among them Monolia and famed lovers Holios and Abelard. Number 1, Highgate Cemetery. The Highgate Cemetery is located in London, UK. The amazing thing about the Highgate Cemetery is its setting. Usually, it is located in a fairly wooded area, so that the complex monuments and simple gravestone alike are surrounded by trees, ferns, and wild flowers. While the friends of Highgate Cemetery who took over maintained and took good care of the place. The site in its late 70s and early 80s have done much to improve conditions. The ground, particularly in the West Cemetery, available by tour only, are still rough. The most famous of its monuments is by far the tomb of Karl Marx, but various other Victorian celebrities boast fascinating monuments here too.